Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Productivity for Perfectionists, how to stop procrastinating, silence your inner critic, and get it done in 20 minutes a day. I'm your host, Deborah Hurwitz, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming a visionary entrepreneur, Marla Diann, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about her. Marla is the owner of Marla Diann Mentoring Company. She's been a visionary, entrepreneur, writer, and philanthropist for over 3 decades. She integrates her 20 years of entertainment publicity, storytelling, and branding expertise with her love of human potential and entrepreneurship to create lasting change and success for creative women business owners. She helps her entrepreneurial clients identify and implement success habits, new behaviors, and a transformed, healed relationship with money. All of this results in a clearer path to higher, more consistent revenues without compromising their health, well-being, dignity, family, or values, while building a leveraged business. So it's all about money today, guys, a hot topic for lots and lots of people. Marla, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm thrilled. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to dive in.
Let's absolutely do that. So one of the things that this audience absolutely loves is to hear the personal stories behind the success stories of all of our entrepreneurs, because in addition to the incredibly valuable coaching and teaching that you have, we can learn so much from your personal story and how you made the different shifts and transitions you did and how you came to be doing what you're doing now. Would you tell us a little bit more about you?
Of course, sure. So I spent, 22 years in the entertainment industry. I was a publicist and a talent manager, and I ran my own business for 13 of those 22 years, and I absolutely loved it. It was a perfect fit. I had, a background in journalism and writing. I'm a writer, and I love that. So I really learned how to monetize my my passion. And I was great at it, had a terrific, dynamic career until probably about 2006, 2005. And I really started to feel the rumbling of change and the innovation because PR was turning into what this thing called social media. It's like, what the heck was that? And so intuitively, I knew it was time for me to reinvent. It was time for me to change. Plus, I was burned out. I was done. I was done with that career. It's like, when you're ready, you're like, okay, I'm ready for the next chapter. So I called it divine discontent, is I had this it was this, feeling underneath that said, it's time for a bigger game. It's time for you to shift, evolve, all that good stuff. So I listened, and took about a year to finally pull myself away from PR, and I stopped taking on clients. And I was probably about 6 months into that discovery mode that I found a mentor. And that mentor is still in my life. And I had many mentors over the years, but it was one mentor that really helped me basically turn my expertise into a product. And it was right around the time that everything was moving online and Facebook was just coming on and nobody knew how to monetize it and all that. Okay. So I took the big leap, and that was not easy for me. In fact, my previous name of my company was Embrace Your Spotlight, the coaching company. And it was Embrace Your Spotlight because most people, not necessarily entertainers, but definitely most people, they have a challenge embracing their spotlight. It's not easy for people to show up, right? Especially on social media back then. So it was also difficult for me to stand on my own spotlight, to be on the front lines, right, teaching, because as you know, as a publicist, you're behind the scenes. You're the cheerleader behind the scenes.
Right.
And so it wasn't a comfortable position for me. And I had to evolve and get uncomfortable and mature and grow up and all of that. Yeah. So it was in 2008, May of 2008, when I started the coaching company. And little did I really pay attention to is that the country was beginning a huge recession. Right? It was that awful time. And thank goodness for my mentors, because without them, I definitely would not have been able to, probably within 18 months, move into a high 5-figure income in the middle of a recession, right? When everybody was challenged, I lost real estate, I lost money. I mean, everybody was,
That's a good way of putting it. Blah.
Oh, it was awful. But I persevered. I listened. I followed their steps. I followed their systems, which I never had before. And I became a very savvy entrepreneur. So that's the background story of that. And in the middle of all that, I was married, divorced. I have an amazing 25-year-old son who I absolutely am deeply proud of. And he lives in Colorado. He's in real estate investment. And
obviously, you look nowhere near old enough to have a 25-year-old child. Let's just get
thank you
there right now.
I appreciate that. Yeah, he's a pretty amazing individual. He's a real old soul, and he's a high achiever. And
I love that.
I put a lot of intention and heart and soul in raising him and his contribution to our world.
It's such a great story. You know, some of the things that really jump out at me and what you were talking about that I think are really going to speak to our perfectionists. You know, as a PR person, you're so in command of image, right? It's like if anybody understands the need for everything to be perfect and just right, it's a person who's handling publicity. And yet you went to a place, instead of saying, well, everything has to be just perfect, you went into the wild west of social media because you were heeding your calling, which was a deeper voice and a voice that was firing you on a different kind of cylinders. And that not only were you heeding your calling and letting go of the kind of surface perfectionism that might have stopped you from moving forward, but you also called in mentors to help you and really got that help. And so many of us feel like it's too much of a risk. It's too much vulnerability. It's too much investment to actually ask for help, to hire mentors, to hire coaches. To go out there, you know, we think we have to do it all ourselves, or we have to know what we're doing before we get in there, right? And so it's so powerful just to see that story of going, you know, from a career where you could have easily said, well, I'm just going to get it all perfectly set up before I press go on anything, and instead you went to a deeper place. You let it be imperfect. You took risks. You brought in mentors. You asked for help, and then you went into this new space. It's really very, very cool. So that brings you into now working with money and helping people with money. So let's talk to our perfectionists about money, especially who are hiding.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we don't have enough time today to talk.
I know, we have only a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So with all of our creative entrepreneurs, our artists and entrepreneurs in the audience, steeped in doubt, worry, and fear, right? All really in a somewhat, you know, messy or dark or unclear place around worth and value. What can they expect as a result of being detached through the work that you're going to talk about from long-held, adopted negative beliefs and behaviors around money? Talk to us a little bit about that work you do and beliefs and disempowering beliefs and how we can help our kids here.
Sure. You know, let me address perfectionism. Please. That is a dirty word. That doesn't belong in anybody's category. In there, nothing, right? Just don't even speak it. Meaning, perfectionism, and I'm sure you talk about this a lot too, aside from today, it's a judgment, everybody. It's pure judgment that you're not good enough. And that is so not true. And the imprints that you've had, right, and this actually is a good segue into the money, is that the imprints that you've had says you're not enough. And there's someone along the edge. In other words, you weren't born like this, right? Yes, of course, we may have some detailitis. A lot of us like to be very detailed, and that's a good thing. But when it comes to perfectionism, it really is non-existent. And it's a judgment against ourselves. And there are ways and programs, much like what you support and I, as far as getting rid of that perfectionism. So what can an entrepreneur expect when they're detached? Like, this is kind of, we're thinking from the end in mind. Oh, sorry.
No, it's a perfect example of letting go of the perfection,
well,
right?
Yeah, perfection.
Real place. It just is what it is.
Forgot about that one. So
perfect timing.
What I was like when...
Uh-oh, we have a little bit of frozen. You were frozen. Okay, you're back. Fantastic.
Okay,
Sorry.
very good. Oh, thank you, Internet. So as I was saying, is think from the end in mind, right? In other words, this is what it's going to be like. This is what it's like for my clients, for people that choose to be courageous enough to tell their truth and be vulnerable with their relationship with money. Because you know what? Everybody, and it doesn't matter what level you're at, I've got clients at 5, 6, 7 figures. Doesn't matter. Everybody's got stuff about money, and it's not a bad thing. It's bad. It's okay. We all have issues and challenges around our relationship with money, right? Avoidance behavior, doubt, fear, worry, right? Lack mindset. What's that?
Procrastination.
Procrastination, that's an avoidance behavior. That's exactly what that is.
Yep.
And those are all learned behaviors. You weren't born with that, right? Those are learned behaviors, again, right? Just like perfectionism. Those are all learned behaviors that you have an opportunity to break through literally and create what I call a new money legacy. So what you can expect when you detach, and you have to have a professional do that with you, obviously that's one of the things I do, is I help you literally become way more conscious of your behaviors and your habits so that you can change them, because most of us are not conscious of the behaviors we have with money. You know, not looking at bank statements, not wanting to have money conversations with your spouse or fear of that, money conversations with clients, money conversations if you're working with a boss. I mean, it's all of this stuff around money. There's so much, there's like so many moving pieces, but there doesn't have to be. Right. So the result is you're conscious, you're clear about your value, rather than, if you're an entrepreneur, caving into discounts, or a professional caving into not getting your salary you should be. You'll feel,
such a huge issue with artists. I'd love you to speak to this a little bit more, because my goodness, you know, production values have gone up, equipment costs and production costs have gone down. Everyone is expected to have radio ready stuff and be doing it for free because it'll increase your exposure, right? And there are so many, valid, I'll put it in air quotes, excuses for why I can't charge this, or I have to do this for free, or I have to underprice, or I have to go with this down market or something like that. I'd love you to speak to some of the interior pieces of that, because I feel incredibly blessed to have had mentors that have helped me through that. I don't work for free unless there's something I desperately want to do and love to do. And it's collaborating and cultivating a relationship, which is a different kind of feeding me, right? So I'd love you to speak to those people that are just scared.
Oh yeah, it's all about fear. Yeah. It's in order to take a stand, and you know, my tagline is, you know, stand for your worth and your dignity, right? You got to get there, but in order to get there, to be able to stand for your worth, you got to go through the work. You've got to go through the breakthroughs. You have to identify what are those fears, what are those doubts, why are you doubting your worth? Who was it that, you know, told you that? You know, who is it that's imprinting you? Who is it that's influencing you? Because you know what, if somebody says, well, it's the economy, it's all these things outside of you, I always call it, that's a bunch of BS. It has nothing to do with your worth and your value. Exactly. In fact, one of my tenets, you know, that I coach is you should never predetermine what someone can or cannot afford. It's your responsibility to honor your worth. So if you either walk into a meeting, right, a pitch meeting, whatever, it doesn't matter what you think that they can or cannot afford. It's you knowing your worth. And here's where I come from with the creative community. My whole family is in the creative community. We're in the entertainment industry. I'm speaking from experience, everybody. Yeah. I spent 20 years in the entertainment industry. That's why I work with creatives today and helping you really take a stand for your truth, the one you were born with, right? If you will, your birthright. Not the stuff and the greed and all the society and all those things that have been imprinted in your mind, because that's the main piece to start with, is you've got to start shifting your mindset, right? Exactly. And that's something you must work at. And if somebody goes on, you know, mindset, it's like, okay, good luck.
Counting on external circumstances to make our lives happen for us is not a great game plan.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true for money. It's true for everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's often a piece of procrastination too, right? Is like, I'm waiting for my circumstances to change, or I'm waiting for the phone call to come in. I'm waiting for that other thing to happen,
Right.
so that then I will be moved forward, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, of course, we're the only ones that can actually create any kind of real change.
Yeah.
So you have some fabulous secrets that I would love to now share. What are your 6 key habits that you coach that can help this audience begin a money mindset shift and how to create more value and dignity and worth in their lives?
Yeah,
Wonderful. People love lists, right? So those 6 habits are particular, and I've been obviously tuned into your stuff and reading your stuff, and I love these 6. So please share them with our audience. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. Okay, terrific. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Good.
We had another odd connection. We're back.
We're back.
All right.
6 habits, go.
Yeah. So these 6 habits, they will absolutely change, or at least I should say, begin to change your relationship with money, and help you, confidently build your creative business or career. And it begins with this, and this may sound a little odd. And I will say this much, guys, is that some of this probably relates more with women, because that's most of my clientele, but I have a really handful of fabulous creative men that get this. So just know that some of this material may or may not resonate completely, and maybe it will for you men. So I just wanted to kind of give that qualification there.
We're going to come right back to that little gender question in a moment.
Yes, we will. And I've got a good one. I have a really great valid one on that. So anyway, I want you, before I start, talking about the 6, is I want you to start having a relationship with money, right? Just like you treat your best friend. Mm. How do you treat your best friend, right? You nurture it, you respect it, right? You hold it, if you will, close to your heart. You're kind, all those things. You know what? Money is not a piece of paper with deceased notables on it. Okay? Money represents your passion, your purpose. In other words, getting rewarded. And this is what I say in my world, is that you're getting rewarded for your beautiful talent. You're getting rewarded for your purpose. And I mean that not woo-woo. I mean that seriously. You're out there in your creative career, whatever it be, visual, performing arts, whatever. You know what? You were born to do that. And you are being rewarded for that. So money is not greed. Money is not all those judgments that you have learned. Money is a blessing. Okay? Money is a blessing for your life and for everything else. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Keep going. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, good. So number 1, so again, go back to treating money like you do your best friend. Number 1, nurture money. In other words, nurture your money. Be in relationship with it. Don't be procrastinating, ignoring the bill statements, the pain of the bills, the afraid of looking at your, online bank statements and all that. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go away. Sorry. Therein lies a lot of the work, obviously, that we go through in order for you to get to this place of being okay with that. And not in fear. Because you know what? I came from that too. I had no idea I could be any other way with money. I had the fear. I had the doubt. I had the lack of self-worth, right? I had to go through this in order to coach it. So number 1 is nurture your money by knowing what's coming in and what's going out of your business, in this case, an entrepreneur, daily. Right? If you know your numbers, and this is about being in relationship with your numbers, and I know some ladies kind of go, numbers, right? Mm-hmm. It's okay. Love your numbers. They tell a story, all right? So it's being in relationship with your numbers. And you know what? Keep a tracking sheet just of your revenues so that you can keep on top of what's going on every day rather than not knowing. That's one place to start, is start tracking every day your income. There's going to be some days there's going to be 0, right? It's not going to be perfect every day, but it keeps you, all it is a habit to keep you in relationship with your numbers, okay? And hire, if you're an entrepreneur, you better be hiring a bookkeeper. Do not be doing this yourself. That is not a good use of your time. Yes, you know what's happening with it, but please hire a bookkeeper.
I have excellent recommendations for bookkeepers and QuickBooks, Mac PC. Anybody just ping me if you need a bookkeeper and a QuickBooks person. So, yep.
Fabulous.
Both
yeah. I mean, literally when I am coaching, typically anywhere from 2 to 8 year entrepreneurs, the first thing I have them hire is, if they don't have it, bookkeeper and a virtual assistant. And the reason for being is that's how you leverage. You can never get to the higher income if you're busy doing all that other minutia.
You know what? I would love to stop you there and ask a question about that, because I think you can probably address this given that we're talking about money mindset. Here was a good one for me. It was a combination of two things. It was, love the Arbonne bottle. That's fantastic. It was a combination of two things. One, this was my procrastinating hiring anybody to do anything. In terms of money, letting them into my personal confidential financial picture, that was super vulnerable and problematic. And hiring a VA, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself, right? So I was being perfectionistic and procrastinating. What do you say to those people who have those two concerns? Number one, the quality of the work, if they have somebody else do it. And number two, the cost of delegating when you feel like you don't have enough money to go around.
Yeah, that is big time mindset.
Yes.
And that's very, very common. Exactly. That goes on obviously in my coaching every day. Mm-hmm. It's a mindset shift on this. Whoever you're bringing onto your team at whatever level you're at, it's an investment. It's not an expense. And it's first making the decision. And this is a real core tenet that I coach, is making decisions from where you want to be, not where you are. Mm. And so if you intend to make higher revenues and actually have a life instead of having to work 7 days a week because you're doing the bookkeeping and you're doing the emails and you're doing all of that stuff, you just bought yourself a job. That is not a business. Okay? Now, when you come from a place, and this is where universal law comes in. I'm big about universal law and law of attraction and so forth in a very grounded way. And that is when we make the decision, even if it appears differently in our bank account, when we make that decision to bring on that first VA, virtual assistant, and that bookkeeper, trust me, it's scary. You bet. I remember. But guess what? You start seeing the money come in. You start seeing the projects, the clients, whatever it is, whatever streams of income you're working on, it starts to turn the boat around. You have to trust. And that's right, Deborah, that's the biggest thing that most entrepreneurs have. Is
deep breath, everybody.
I know. It's if there's anything about it being, the breed of entrepreneurs, we are a very special breed.
Indeed.
And that is just having the trust, having the faith that when you do the systems and the strategies, that is the leverage. Yeah. Trust me, the money will start to show up. So it's an investment, everybody. It's not an expense. And I know it may not be in your bank account that day, but trust me, it will. Because as that person's doing the lesser hourly, let's say they're $30 an hour jobs and your worth is $300-400 an hour. If you're caught doing those, stuck in those $30 an hour jobs, are you making the money you should be making? No. But when you do, you'll start seeing it come in.
It's a really great distinction, a really important distinction, I think, between investment and expense. It's something that we talk to people a lot about in the different kinds of businesses that we do. And it's a really strong distinction because people will invest when they know that they're going to get the value back, right? They'll buy an iPhone or they'll buy a TV or a computer because they know exactly what they're getting for that. Yeah. Right? And so it feels like an investment in the business, an investment in their ability to do whatever it is that they're doing.
Yep.
And so you're really talking about treating creating that kind of expansion is the same thing, and leveraging. So important. So, one of the things that you said was about a relationship to money. And I think that this is a great place to talk about the boys versus the girls, right? Because I think probably a lot of women can right away get just that concept, a relationship to money. We even are able to acknowledge, regardless of how stifled or backward that relationship might be, that we actually have a relationship with money. Whereas I can see a lot of guys going, what are you talking about, a relationship with money?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's very, very different.
So can you speak to the gender gap a little bit there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let me, if I may, let me finish up 2, 3.
Right, we didn't get through our 6. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
That's okay. I know. It's a great topic that you're bringing up. It's very common. So let me kind of go through this real quick.
Absolutely.
And then answer your, So 2 is respect your money by setting boundaries with money conversations. Respecting money, because here's what happens when we I'll give you just examples. If you throw your money in your purse and you don't put it in your wallet, that's disrespect. It's disrespect for money. If you don't know your numbers and you're working really hard and you have no idea what you're making, that's disrespect for you and your money, right? If you are ignoring your bank account, if you're ignoring, whatever it is, the avoidance, the procrastination, that's a disrespect, right? So there's lots more of that, but respect your money by setting boundaries, right? In your money conversations, that's the place to begin, so that when you're talking about money, let's say with a spouse, right? Or a team member, that and this is a hard and fast rule with me, you always have a 2-way conversation about money over the phone or in person, never text and never email. If you are dealing with money over email, that is not a good situation. And that's disrespectful of you and that other person, because you're both hiding. You're hiding behind the email, and there's no power in that at all. So stand in your power when you're talking about money. That's one of many boundaries. All right. Number 3 is speak in gratitude. Ooh, yay for gratitude. Speak in gratitude about money, meaning be very careful who you're talking to about money. And if there's a conversation that's being had around you, and they're naysayers about the economy, and they're poor, and they're this, and they're that, and you're going, whoa, you either shift the conversation or walk away. Okay? Do not feed into a conversation like that. And in your own mind, here's what I say, is that when you live more often in gratitude, faith, trust, right, appreciation, even in times of uncertainty, that's when you open up the channels, if you will, of more money coming in.
Absolutely.
Right? When we're contracted, fear and doubt, we're contracted when we're in that space of all the negativity. And as a result of that, it doesn't flow in. We're literally we have prosperity blocks. Right. So be careful. Speak gratitude about money every day, and be careful how you talk about it. Number 4 is bless money every day. Kind of follows along with gratitude. Bless your money. Oh gosh, you know what I know? When we pay a bill, bless it that you got the money to pay it. All right, bless your money for all the good that it brings you. All right, and number 5, take care of it, the money, by staying in relationship with your numbers, which I've already talked about. Really get to the point where at any given time, you know what your numbers are, right? At what quarter of the year are you in, and where's your expenses, where's your revenues, what's your net? That's where you want to be, right? So stay in relationship with your numbers. And number 6 is behave courageously. By asking, I kind of mentioned this a bit earlier, behave courageously by asking for what you're worth rather than what you think you can get.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
The whole world of being in gratitude and being in an expansive place as opposed to a contractive place. It's so important, I think, for our perfectionists to remind ourselves, as you said at the very beginning, the perfectionist piece it's deceptive, right? It's like it looks like, oh, everything has to be right and great and perfect, but what it really is a place of judgment and control, a place of insisting upon something,
That's right,
a place of restricting and contracting, as opposed to letting letting however it is be how it is. And then from there, going to those other places that you were talking about around blessings and gratitude, which is not to say, as you also said, that you're not going to set boundaries and lay claim to what it is that you are determining as being your fee, your cost, your price, your quote, right? And that you can be in a place of total blessing and total gratitude and still be standing firm about, oh, this is what this costs, right? And if you are
this is what I'm worth.
Being really in relationship to the numbers that are in the bank and your expenses and you've got a VA and a bookkeeper so that you have access to all of those numbers and you're not doing all the number crunching instead of building your business or having a life, then you're able to say with confidence, no, it is actually not worth it for me to take this gig at this price because the actual cost benefit analysis tells me that's not actually going to work out. But to be in that fluid, as you say, in relationship with, there's like a fluidity to it, as opposed to thinking I have to control it, it has to be just this way, which is, not actually going to get us anywhere.
No, it's not at all. And so, that is what's key. Pardon me?
I said that's a great list. I love it.
So it's super. I wanted to actually address when you're talking about, the being in control, because perfectionism is about the fear and the control and all that. Let me address respond versus react. All right. Perfectionism and avoidance and all of those, that's a reaction on fear. Whereas respond is of power. So when you respond to a situation, and we're talking about money, right? When you respond, you're actually thinking it through and you're coming from an empowered place. Whereas reaction, which is perfectionism, avoidance, all of those, procrastination and so forth, those are literally behaviors that react to a fear. So if you can, in any given situation, if you can be conscious of, am I responding or am I reacting? Because as soon as you think of respond and equate it to power, our energy goes whoosh, and you stand at attention.
Amazing.
So just a thought about that.
That's a great distinction too. I love it. So we are just about at our 30 minutes. However, I really do want to not just tease our audience with this gender idea. So I do want to actually talk a little bit about boys and girls. And then I would love to share with the audience what you are offering us, especially for this summit, a free gift where people are going to be able to dive deeper into everything that you've touched on today and get a little bit more of you, which I know they're going to want. But tell us about boys and girls and money.
Yeah, boys and girls. All right. So we women are wired, and I really want you to get this. We're wired to be in relationship. We're wired to gather. We're wired to connect. We're wired to collaborate, right? Men are not wired that way. That's just how they are, right? So women need to have a relationship with money. But here's the thing that's nobody's fault. We have been raised through society, through parents, through bosses, through whomever, to operate, we women, with money like a man. And you know what? It's like, what? It doesn't compute to us. And what I mean by that is men are fabulous at being focused, linear, right? They get it done. There's black and white. Boom, move on. There's no connection there. There's no emotional. We women see life through the eyes of emotion, right? We look at our life through the lens of emotion. So when somebody consistently tells us, don't get emotional about money, right? And just get it done and get the numbers and get your sales and get whatever. It's like, you might as well be talking Chinese to a woman about that. So no wonder, that's kind of the key. It's no wonder that women under-earn, are not in power with money for the most part. There's a lot of women that are, but I'm talking to the ones that still have the challenge, and there's a lot of them. There are a lot of them, in the world.
Yep.
is that we're not empowered. We weren't raised to be powerful with money. And we were raised to operate with money like a man, and it just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do in my coaching is I validate for women, here is a strategy, here is a mindset, here is how you can be in relationship with money that makes sense to you, so that you can value who you are.
Beautiful. I love it. That's so great. Thank you so much, Marla. Now tell us, how can we get more of you, and what do you have for our audience today?
Of course, sure. It's if you go to marladiann.com, and that's MarlaDiann, no E. I have Are You Wired for Wealth? It's a 20-minute training audio download. It's very simple. And I actually go through in more detail of those 6 habits that we talked about.
Perfect.
And I talk about kind of the landscape of women today, women's global leadership, and where we're headed, and what, we're now being called to really stand in our role, if you will, and it's time for us to break through a lot of these barriers.
Indeed. Indeed, it is. All of that information is, of course, on your speaker page and in your daily email. Marla, thank you so, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great episode on money. I know this is a hot topic that we're all going to want to dig deeper into as we go along. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for our next episode of Productivity for Perfectionists. Once again, I'm your host, Deborah Hurwitz. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Marla.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.